Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dale Abuel. I'm the post commander here at Grosse Ile VFW Post 7310, and I want to welcome you all here on Veterans Day, and thank you all so very much for coming out to help us celebrate Veterans Day. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to rise, and we will have the playing of the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance while you're still standing. Present our I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. Thank you. Please be seated. Again, I want to welcome all of you here and say that today we're here to honor and salute all of the many American veterans who throughout our history have unselfishly placed their lives on the line for freedom. On every Veterans Day, we remember our doughboys who in World War I died on the battlegrounds in Europe. Originally called Armistice Day, this day was conceived as a tribute to the Americans who sacrificed their lives in that war. This year marks another anniversary of the ending of World War I, and the veterans remaining from this period should be proud of their service. Of course, we know now they're all departed. Veterans Day is an appropriate time to pay special tribute to American veterans of World War II. As we almost complete the anniversary of World War II, let us always remember these veterans. And today we honor all American veterans who have served in every other war before and after World War I to defend democracy. We also honor our veterans from every period of peace as well, for they protect what our war veterans fought and died to defend. American veterans represent all races and ethnic groups. They are men and they are women. They are of every creed and belief, and they are of every physical description. They are your neighbor next door, the owner of the grocery store, and the firemen saving lives. They are the 27 million Americans living today who have proudly worn their country's military uniform, and they are the more than 1 million who have died defending the United States. Some of these veterans are famous heroes who have received a great deal of honor and publicity. Most are not. Most are just ordinary citizens who answered the call to duty when it came. Duty to their country took them to the safety of their homes, or I should say from the safety of their homes and families, and often led them to the hardship and dangers of war. They left the peacetime opportunities in offices, factories, and farms and committed themselves to becoming airmen, soldiers, and sailors. Today, join the members of the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the Ladies Auxiliaries, and let us say to all veterans that we are a grateful country and we appreciate the sacrifices you have made. Thank you. And I have now a letter from the desk of Burl C. Atkins, and this was written on November 20th, 1999. And it says, "Dear friend of veterans, Thursday, November 11th, it says here, of course this dates back to 1999, was Veterans Day. As I was driving by your home, I noticed that you were flying Old Glory, how proud I was to see your flag. It said to me that you love our country just as I do. Like most Americans, there's a long list of veterans in my family. My father served in World War II, as did two of my uncles. Another uncle of mine served in the Korean conflict. For this, I feel a special need in my own way to acknowledge them and all veterans while encouraging others in the future to do the same. Perhaps you are a veteran and feel a personal need to fly the Stars and Stripes on Veterans Day, or maybe you just fly the flag daily. Regardless of your motive, stand tall. I spotted many others flying the flag. Like you, they also received a letter acknowledging and praising their patriotism. I hope that you continue to fly the flag in the future, and from now on, and when I drive by, I remember that a fellow patriot lives there. Thank you for helping to inspire my day, and it was signed Burl C. Adkins. All right, at this time, I'd like to call forward our member and participant by way of writing so often, and that's David Dyer, and he'd like to do a reading at this time.
Thank you, Don. Good afternoon. What are you doing on Veterans Day? 2 years ago, my wife Janet gave me a birthday present for my 73rd birthday. Yes, it was something to wear. A half smile accompanied the tears that rolled down my face as I stared at the numbers that were engraved on the beautiful bracelet that she placed on my wrist. Those numbers read 58267. That represented the total number of names inscribed on the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. I understood that it took until the year of 2010 for the final names to be posted, so we must accept that total as accurate. I often wonder why it took so long to do so little for those who gave so much. The year of 2010 would have been some 35 years after the last American was killed in Vietnam. As another Veterans Day approaches, what are your plans for that day? Will you go to a party or host one? Or how about a parade? On Veterans Day, you don't have to go very far to see one or even join one. Maybe you'll just enjoy the day off work that so many of you will be getting. Whatever it may be, how about adding something to it that will really make you feel good? Before your day begins, give yourself one moment of silence in honor of those 58,267 young men and women that gave their lives. Yes, there were 8 women included in that total. You will be surprised at the extra energy you will have created for yourself. In August of 2007, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at the age of 68. And my brother, Wayne, when he heard that news, that he was devastated. He seemed to sense that there was something I've been holding back that was much deeper than Parkinson's. It was then that he uttered these words to me: "Do not die with your music still in you." I had always avoided talking about Vietnam simply because there was nothing pleasant about it to talk about. That reasoning may have been my way of avoiding any conversations that had to do with my experiences, since I just couldn't bring myself to talk about them without welling up. After hearing those words from Wayne and realizing that I now had this incurable disease, I was almost 69 years old. I began thinking about my mother, who would soon be turning 92. She was living in an assisted living home in Florida. And with me being in Michigan, the chances of us ever seeing each other again were becoming very remote. That evening I told Janet and my son David Scott my Vietnam story, and of the memories and nightmares that had haunted me for the past 37 years. I then wrote the story, and it was published in our local newspapers, as well as the Detroit Free Press. I titled it Faces of Fear. On the 3rd day of April in the year of 1970, as the wheels of the plane touched the tarmac, I was never so scared in my life. We had just arrived at the Tan Son Nhut Airport in Saigon. Yes, I was in Vietnam. Yes, there was a war going on, and there was no escape. I was into my 9th year in the Army, and my specialty was medical records. I was being assigned to the 71st Evacuation Hospital in Pleiku, which is located in the Central Highlands along the Cambodian border, where some of the heaviest fighting of the war took place. Most of the men on this plane were lower ranking but well-trained infantrymen. They numbered in excess of 200. Most of them had more combat training than I did, even though they had only about a year of service behind them. They looked up to me because of the staff sergeant stripes on my arm. For that reason, I attempted to hide my face of fear. The bewildered and fearful faces on many of them were justified. The percentages dictated that 10 of these young men would not make it back. Twice that many would be medevaced, and twice that many would suffer minor injuries. I think I failed in my attempt to hide my fear as the captain spoke. Welcome to Saigon, and I wish you the best of luck to all of you in the coming year. When I arrived at the hospital, I learned that my primary duties would be related to the admission and disposition of patients. On my first day on the job, I encountered my first DOA. This happened to be a self-inflicted wound known as a TNT through one side of the head and through the other side. I grabbed hold of the gurney he was on to gain my composure. I stared at his face. He was only 23. What had this war been doing to him? I took his clothing to our baggage room to inventory and secure his personal effects. As I looked through his wallet, I viewed what appeared to be family members and a pretty girl who may have been his wife or his girlfriend. I felt a welling in my eyes and a lump in my throat. When I went to the barracks, I went straight to my room. I closed the door and cried my eyes out. I even prayed to God. I remember saying these words, God, if you are a God, please help me get through this coming year. I didn't know it then, but God was there. I soon learned there was no time for mourning. My time to cry would come many years later. I vividly remember the mass casualties. One helicopter after another brought in sheer numbers of these young men with mutilated bodies. They screamed with pain, dozens of gurneys packed tightly in the emergency room. The floor was covered with blood, body parts strewn about, dead bodies lined up outside, later to be wheeled to the morgue. I cringed as I listened to the moans and screams of the wounded. My heart wrenched to hear them begging for morphine to ease their pain. Those sounds were mixed with the sounds of the physicians and nurses shouting orders with barely enough room to move between patients. One of the most difficult decisions the physicians had to make was deciding the priority of sending patients to the OR. Many of them had to wait, and some died while waiting. I recall the case of a young man whose leg was separated at the knee, and he also had severe abdominal pains. He couldn't be taken to surgery soon enough. I watched him die. He was 19 years old. Witnessing that tore at my heart, but like everything else, we had to keep moving on. The most common initial diagnosis used upon admission was abbreviated with 3 letters. They were MFW, multiple fragment wounds. Many of these MFWs were in or near the abdominal area. One of the favorite weapons of the Viet Cong was known as a bouncing Betty. They have no idea where it originated, but it refers to a landmine that shoots an explosive charge up to the waist level before detonation. The intention was to hit the individual's private parts, which it often did. When the time came to view the DOAs and secure any personal effects prior to taking them to the morgue, I began to see the real faces of fear. This would be the ultimate face of fear that few people ever see. When a person is killed instantly, his body freezes in place and there is no movement. Their facial expression remains the same until it is changed by human hands. When a person can see death coming and nothing can prevent it from happening, it is that split second while waiting for certain death, the ultimate face of fear is created. This was an overwhelming, paralyzing look of terror. Most of our patients were brought to us directly from the battlefields or jungles by either ambulance or helicopter. Some were received in body bags. Our job was to admit the patients and initiate their medical records. There were times when I was the first person they remember talking to since being wounded, and on more than one occasion, I was the first person I was asked, please don't tell my wife. I can also recall the joyous reactions of those not so seriously injured, but enough so they knew they would be going home. This was known as a MDW, or a $1 million wound. Even though at times they may be without an arm or a leg. You are allowed to cry only once, otherwise you may end up on the psychiatric ward. It was 5 years ago that my son David Scott and I visited the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C., and it was absolutely the most moving experience of my life. I would suggest that anyone who was drafted during the Vietnam era to visit that memorial, and while there, recite this version of this adage in prayer. Here, but for the grace of God, went I. While there I stared at the wall. All I could see was names and numbers. I closed my eyes, and then I began to see faces. Yes, they all had faces 37 years ago. I began to see young men on gurneys lined up in the emergency room, and I began seeing young men in body bags. I began seeing young men in psychiatric wards, and I saw one with a self-inflicted gunshot wound completely through his head, and then I saw him. The 22-year-old burn patient who died in my hands while crying for his mother with his final breath. It is now late at night, and Veterans Day is coming to a close. I hope you enjoyed your party, parade, or whatever it was you did today. Do you remember how it began? Do you remember giving that moment of silence this morning? I'm going to ask you to do that once again. But first I'd like to mention a couple things. When that number 58267 is broken down, some rather startling statistics are revealed. 39,996 of them were 22 years old or younger. 997 of them were killed on their first day in Vietnam. 1,448 of them were killed on their last day in Vietnam. 244 soldiers were awarded the Medal of Honor during the Vietnam War, and 153 of them are on that wall. Yes, it is late at night, and Veterans Day is coming to a close, and it's time to give that last moment of silence. Put all of your thoughts on those 58,267 young men and women that gave their lives so we could be here enjoying all of what we did today. And when those 60 seconds are over, you just might want to blurt out these words. Thank you, my friend. We miss you. And I want to close the same way that I closed my book. This is how I spent Christmas Eve in 1970. Close to the night before Christmas, 41 years ago. The monsoon erased any thoughts of snow. I wondered what kind of a night it would be, with continuous sounds of artillery. Christmas was coming as I looked at the clock, but there was nary a chimney to hang up a sock. Past Christmas memories quickly passed through my head as I climbed from the bunker and lay down in my bed. Soon the sirens went off and arose such a clatter. We rushed to the ER to see what was the matter. 4 incoming wounded were already here, and 2 KIAs brought up the rear. I looked out the door and gazed up at the star as the 4 wounded soldiers went to the OR. They were all involved in some type of explosion. This was not the life that they had chosen. They all were drafted and had no choice, but their MDWs gave cause to rejoice. The death and destruction that still lay ahead told me I still had plenty to dread. There were no obstacles or coursers to fly. It must have been God way up in that sky. It was now past midnight and Christmas was here. I celebrated by drinking a beer. Once again I lay down on my bed while versions of mortar rounds danced in my head. I'd think happy thoughts and close my eyes with a grin, but in just a few days, few hours, a new day would begin.
Thank you, Dave. I might add that I personally was medevac through the hospital that Dave was associated with, and it was a very gruesome place at times, and I can appreciate the residuals, but also appreciate the fine care that was given not only to me there, but many people that passed through. And I think Dave and his associates deserve a huge round of applause for all the people that are still around as a result of the efforts they put forth. Thank you, Dave. And at this time, I'd like to ask Carolyn Sarter to come forward and with her reading. Yeah, or you, if you want to stay in place, it's up to you. We have a, okay.
Mine is very, it's a little bit on the short side, but I think you would appreciate what I'm going to read. It's called Subject, You Could Hear a Pin Drop. JFK, Secretary of State Dean Russ was in France in the early 60s when de Gaulle decided to pull out of NATO. De Gaulle said he wanted all U.S. military out of France as soon as possible. Russ responded, does that include those who are buried here? De Gaulle did not answer. You could hear a pin drop. Okay, on that one. A U.S. Navy admiral was attending a naval conference that included admirals from the U.S., English, Canadian, Australian, and French navies. At a cocktail reception, he found himself standing with a large group of officers that included personnel from most of those countries. Everybody was chatting away in English as they sipped their drinks, but a French admiral suddenly complained that whereas Europeans learn many languages, Americans learn only English. He then asked, why is that we always have to speak English at these conferences rather than speaking French? Without hesitating, the American admiral replied, maybe that is because the Brits, Canadians, Austrians, and Americans arranged it so you wouldn't have to speak German. You could hear a pin drop. Okay, the last one. Robert Whitting, an elderly gentleman of 83, arrived in Paris by plane. At French customs, he took a few minutes to locate his passport and his carry-on. You have been to France before, Monsieur, the customs officer asked sarcastically. Mr. Whiting admitted that he had been to France previously. Then you should know enough that you have to have your passport ready. The American said, last time I was here, I didn't have to show it. Impossible. Americans always have to show their passports on arrival in France. The American senior gave the Frenchman a long, hard look. Then he quietly explained, well, when I came ashore at Omaha Beach on D-Day in 1944 to help liberate your country, I couldn't find a single Frenchman to show a passport to. You could hear a pin drop. Yeah. And that's it.
Great.
Thank you, Carolyn. And at this time, we have a reading of the letters from the students from Bates Elementary School. And some of these letters are very revealing about their sentiments, but you know what they often say, out of the mouths of babes come the finest words. Well, we'll have the individuals who are holding those papers please stand up and read them so that we can share them.
Dear veterans, thank you for your service to help our country be free. You show courage, bravery, and honor, and we appreciate that. Thank you for your service in the armed forces. We are grateful to be writing to you, and remember, you will never be forgotten. Your friend, Travis Porkash.
Dear veterans, I am really grateful that you served for us. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be free and wouldn't be in this school. I will remember all of the veterans. You and the other veterans are very brave to serve for our country. You are very important to me and other people. I know that not that many people send and take you thank you notes and letters, but I'm glad to be one that does send you notes and letters. I do have someone in my family that is in the Army, so I can compare my cousin to you and the other veterans. I look up to all the veterans because I know they're doing a good thing serving for our country. I met a Montfort Point Marine, his name is Mr. Shepherd, at my school. Your friend, Brooke Haddad.
Dear veterans, thank you for everything you have done for our country. Thank you for your bravery, courage, integrity, and respectfulness. And most of all, thank you for our freedom. I appreciate your service. You are so important to me and to everybody else in our country. Your friend, Carol Olson. God bless America.
Dear Mr. Shepherd, I am happy that you served in the war for our freedom. You have shown the bravery and courage to me. I'm pretty sure you feel honored. We will always remember you. Hopefully you will remember us. Once again, you showed true bravery and courage. Thank you for your service in the world wars and freedom for our country and for you too. Sincerely, Ivan Guzman. P.S. Have an honored and grateful life.
Mine says, hi, you served our country in honor so we could have freedom. Thank you. You let us grow and have pride in our country and have schools and have knowledge in our brains. And someday we want to become you, veterans, or even something more. We trust you with your bravery. I hope you pass your serving on to your kid, even a close family member. We love you with all our hearts. Thank you. P.S. God is always with you. Sincerely, Marissa Sedler.
Dear veterans, I am so appreciative for everything, big or little, that you did for me, my family, and the people of the USA in general. I really hope that you all know you are never to be forgotten in my mind. What you did for this country, sacrificing your life, leaving your family behind, just to serve in battle for this generation's freedom and generations to come, is so amazing and inspiring. I understand that you might feel that you have been forgotten or not ever honored for your service, but always remember that whenever you feel you have been abandoned or unrecalled, just keep in mind that I remember and I will never forget. Sincerely, Kaylee Crandall.
Thank you. This letter is from our friend Evan, and I commend him because I can read his printing. You all served our country well. I'm very grateful that our country is free. You all made many sacrifices and risked your lives fighting for our country. I'll always remember the wars that you all fought in. All of the veterans have bravely and with courage and bravery, and I'll always honor you. This letter goes to everybody that fought in the armed forces. You need to remember that you gave our country freedom. Your friend, Evan.
Mine says, Dear veterans, thank you for serving our country. You are very grateful. I appreciate what you did. It is a great honor to write to you. It was nice for you to sacrifice your life for our country. Thanks for being here. Sincerely, Xander G. Charles.
Dear veterans, thank you for all you've done. We are grateful and appreciate you and always will remember you. If it wasn't for your bravery and courage, we would not be free. Thank you. I don't know anyone in the war so far, so this is a very special note. Thank you for all your sacrifices you made for our country. If it wasn't for you, I would never got to experience going to school. Hope this letter puts a smile on your face, because when I saw that when you got us freedom and saved this country, I couldn't help but smile myself. Thank you for serving our country. Your friend, Lauren Ray.
Dear veteran, thank you for making our country safe. I appreciate what you did.
This is a young lady named Kaylin No, 5th grader. And it says, Dear veterans, thank you for what you did for our country. If it weren't for you, we the people would not have freedom this day and on. We appreciate all your bravery that you have given just for us. It means a lot, and when something means a lot, we always remember it. I mean, just to think about it every day, that you sacrificed your life just for us, the people, to be able to go to school and live our lives, that just shows that you care, and caring people have huge, loving hearts. And I myself love people like that. They make me the happiest 5th grade girl in the world. And those people are you, so I hope you love it yourself too. Just so you know, I am probably not the only 5th grader in the world that you put a big smile on their face. But what I mean is that you are so grateful to have you in our world and a part of our life, and I shall always honor you no matter what happens. Love you guys so much, and thank you so much for what you have done for us. You are awesome.
11/6/2013. Dear veterans, I want to thank you for everything you've done. You have done so much for us. You made many sacrifices to save us. You have bravery and courage to do that. I am very grateful of you. And I really, really, really appreciate all the things you have done for this country and our freedom. If it weren't for the service you have joined, I wouldn't be able to freely in this school. Writing this letter to you and our country would be a disaster. I honor all of the armed forces for their bravery, courage, knowledge, patience, and most of all, their service. I will always remember you, and so should everyone else. My 3 uncles served in the armed forces, and I can't wait to write to them too. Signed, your friend, Bella Spur.
Dear veterans, thank you for your sacrifices to our country so that we could have our freedom and so that we could grow up and be and do whatever we want to do. If you are either Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or Army, you are so important to us and our parents and our sisters and brothers. We just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for this country. Your friend, Anthony.
Dear veterans, thank you for all you did. You are my hero. I love that you helped us get our freedom. You made a difference in the world. We all know what you did. We all appreciate your honor and your service to us all. Thank you, your friend Caitlin Andrews. And then I have another one. And this one says, Dear veterans, thank you for serving in the military. I appreciate you and what you did. Your friend Lucas.
Dear veterans, thank you for making our country safe. I appreciate what you did. Your friend Dino.
This is somewhat visual, got a heart with a flag superimposed on there. And thank you for your service, serving our country. And on the back, he says, or she, I don't know, thank you for keeping us away from those bad people.
Thank you for making our country safe. I appreciate what you did. Your friend Alexis.
Dear veterans, first I want to say thank you for serving our country. I am so grateful to have you and for you to serve. It is just a happy moment risking your life to serve in wars. But now I am a free 5th grader going to Bates Elementary. Also, I want to thank you for the courage and bravery that was in the wars. I am grateful for that, and I appreciate it so much. You made so many sacrifices that you gave us freedom. You risked your life to give us freedom. Your honor, courage, and bravery is so helpful that you made people feel good. One more thing. You are great to our country you served and kind, so never change who you are, because inside you are a true friend. Your greatest friend, Isabella Hayes.
Dear veterans, thank you for risking your lives for our freedom. I know it was probably really hard. I appreciate your bravery and courage. You are my heroes. Without you, I wouldn't have what I have now. A nice house, a loving family, a wonderful school, and much, much more. Thank you for serving our country. I will always keep you in my thoughts, my heart, and my prayers. You may think that us kids forgot all about you, but I won't, never. Signed, your friend Angelina Gagliano.
Dear veterans, we are all very grateful for your service and sacrifices. It takes bravery and courage to risk your lives to defend this country. America is such a great place, and it's all because of our veterans. You are all heroes in my eyes. We had a veteran visit our school, and he shared his story with us. It was interesting, and he showed us how it is sometimes easy for Americans to forget those who have given part or all of their lives so that we can have our freedom. I hope he visits more schools so that the kids will be reminded that our freedom comes at a price, and we should all be grateful for what veterans have done for us. I hope you have a great Veterans Day and Thanksgiving coming up. I know that when I am with my family and we are sharing what we are thankful for, I will be thankful for the courage and bravery of our veterans. Thank you so much. Your friend, Owen Sawicki.
Thank you for everything you have done, from your bravery to our freedom. You are a hero to me. You risked your life for us. I hope that nobody forgets that you risked your life for the United States of America. You should be proud of yourself. If people forget about you, well, who cares about them? I will never forget about you. Thank you, your friend, Nick Broder.
Are just so enjoyable to listen to. That's one of the high points of Veterans Day for me, as well as the recent ceremony that we experienced in Meridian Elementary School. At this time, I'd ask Mike Early, one of our VFW members, to do a reading of In Flanders Fields.
In Flanders Field. In Flanders Field. The Flanders Field, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing fly. Scarce hearts amid the guns below, we are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt down, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from falling hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If we break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep though poppies grow in Flanders field.
Thank you, Mike.
I want to mention another very important veteran, a very dedicated Roseville Township Supervisor, James Cullen. Also, a very dedicated VFW Post Commander, James Cullen. And also a very dedicated father to his family, James Cullen, who just recently passed away. During the lull between the many great battles, as we manned our battle stations on the many ships, or as we gazed out through the sky from the gun turrets of the many planes, or as we huddled in the wet foxholes on the many battlefields, our thoughts were always this.
Thank you. And at this time, we're going to have the playing of taps.
Veterans of Prayer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm out of sequence. We'll have the Veterans Day Prayer by Bob Pierce.
Almighty God, Father of us all, we, thy servants, turn to thee for continuance of thy blessings upon us. Thou who hast spared us veterans from the grasp of our enemies, grant us the full understandings of thy precious comfort. We thank thee for the privileges of life and the blessings we enjoy through thy goodness. In our country, the land in which we are given the freedom of speech, religion, and the pursuit of happiness, assist us to know thee better, and that thou art the God of the universe and our ideal. In thy mercy, may we, the living, find our peace. Grant us from above this day the challenge of high endeavor, the beauty of a humble spirit, the strong courage and will, without exertion, to continue to glorify thee, praise thee, and love thee to the end of time. Amen.
And if we could please stand for the playing of taps. And salute. Alrighty, we can please be seated again. And I do want to mention, in conjunction with playing of taps, our departed post members here who passed away this year: Richard Cavell, Richard Carter, Robert Burns, Claire Peebles, and as already been mentioned, James Cowan. All of these men were World War II veterans, so we're losing them at a much too fast a rate. I would like to say that Representative Pat Somerville is here, and he's going to tell us about a veteran seminar that will be conducted at the Post. And I can bring the mic back to you, Pat, or if you'd like.
Yeah, that's what, can everybody hear me all right? Okay. November 25th, if those of you who don't know me, Pat Somerville, State Representative. I represent the communities of Huron Township, Brownstown, Woodhaven, Trenton, Gibraltar, and Groseal. I know we did this in the past where we had a Veterans Town Hall Forum. We're going to be bringing down Jason Allen, who's the Deputy Director of the Veterans and Human Affairs Department. And basically, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but in Michigan, we're actually last in terms of the amount of benefits that we offer our veterans. We've made some headways in the last couple of years by appropriating some more money to the Veterans Administration and whatnot, but we've got a long way to go. But there's also another stat that I don't like, where only about 20% of our veterans are actually taking advantage of the benefits that we currently offer. So this is going to be an opportunity for you to come out, invite other veterans to come out so that you can get information about veterans that are available, things that we're trying to do in Lansing to give you more benefits. I know Senator Colback couldn't join us today. I know he would want me to plug the Freedom Center, which has been put in the McNamara Terminal at Metro Airport, which is a place where our veterans can go and hang out and enjoy some relaxation and some free time as they're traveling between posts. So I want to put that plug in as well, but that's going to be November 25th. It's a Monday from 5 o'clock. It will start at 5 and go as long as we need to answer any questions and to get the information out.
Great.
It's going to be right here at the VFW.
All right, thank you so much, Representative Somerville. It means a lot to us as veterans, and I want to stress that when Pat mentioned that we were last in veterans benefits, that didn't mean, and this was brought out at our last VFW district meeting, it doesn't mean last in the 50 states. We're last even amongst our protectorates. Puerto Rico, any other place that's a protector of the United States, we are last behind all of them. So we have a long way to go in terms of veterans receiving benefits, but a part and parcel of that is learning about them and applying for them. So we look forward to your attendance here if you have any questions about veterans benefits. Alrighty, I would like to thank you all for coming and remind you that our next ceremony will be held Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, and which is on a Monday, and that will be at 11 a.m. in the morning. Saturday, okay. Okay. And at this time, I'd just like to ask each member to take a copy that you've been given and present it at our, what we would term an altar over here, and render a hand salute in remembrance of veterans, and that will conclude our ceremony here. And we have refreshments available in the rear. And we'll let each of the members come forward, render their salutes, and then proceed back to the refreshment area. Thank you.